Alrighty, so we have a good fight that Bellator's actually putting on, surprisingly. So AJ McKee versus Patricio Pitbull or Patricio Freire. Freire, yeah, you know. But everyone just calls him Pitbull, so we're just going to call him Pitbull for here. He's got a 4-inch height advantage, does AJ McKee, not Pitbull. AJ McKee has a 4-inch height advantage and an 8-inch reach advantage. So, yeah, that's quite sizable for the division and the proportions that these guys are at. So, yeah, let's see if he can use it. So, break down the striking of these two. So, for AJ McKee, he comes in as a southpaw. He's got that karate stance, basically side on. He's got pretty good range management. He throws a lot of singular techniques, a lot of flashy kicks. Likes the jumping side kick, you know, to the body, to the face. Spinning wheel kicks. He does have his hands low, like basically at all times, and also when he is throwing these kicks. So if he does miss them, he is in boxing range and still has his hands low, so he's got to watch out for that because Pitbull is a good counterpuncher. He's very quick with his hands and he's got a lot of power too. And also what Pitbull is very good at is sliding out of the way of the opponent's strikes. Like he's got very good range management as well. Range control, I'd say more for Pitbull, you know, because he's very good at just sliding, you know, just enough out of the way. So his opponent misses their strike, but then he's also on range for the counter. And that's his game, is the counter. He's a counter puncher. He waits for the opponent to close distance, and then he looks to counter, because he knows he's at a reach disadvantage to generally everyone in the division. So he waits for them to close the distance, do all the hard work, and then he, you know, looks to really let his hands go once they do get in boxing range. He has a nice counter 2. He throws the counter 2 over a kick. So if opponent goes for a leg kick or a naked body kick or something like that, he'll go for the counter 2 over that. So AJ does need to watch out for that because AJ throws a lot of naked kicks, doesn't really set up a lot of his kicks. Like AJ, he throws body kick, high kick, spinning kicks, jumping kicks, you know, a lot of kicks, but none of these are set up. They're all singular techniques. Yeah, Pitbull, he wants to be in the pocket. Like he wants to get the opponent to enter the pocket and then he can let his hands go, but he likes the 3-2 in the pocket. I'd say that's his go-to combination when he is in close proximity to his opponent. If you get him on the back foot and if you start feinting him, and you start, you know, really trying to... When you start faking that you're going to, you know, close distance and enter the pocket, you can draw out that counter 2 of Pitbull, or you can see him loading up on it, you know, when you fake the closing of the distance. But it's not really something AJ does, really. He doesn't feint too much. He kind of just throws something and, you know, just, you know, not too much thought behind it, in my opinion. Is just kind of throws a technique, and if it lands, it lands. If it doesn't, it doesn't. He'll just, you know, get back at range and throw another flashy technique. But yeah, so AJ McKee's not the type of guy who's going to, you know, feint with the hands or do too much like that. He's going to blitz in with the 1-2 or blitz in with a straight left. And he's got a bit of power in that left hand for sure, especially the straight left. You know, it looks pretty innocuous with the punches that he caught Cariani with, or however you say his name, and McKee with. But, you know, he dropped them and put him out cold, so he's obviously got a bit of raw power for sure. But his hands do drop after he does throw them, so that could open up the hands of Pitbull when they get in the pocket. Pitbull also throws low calf kicks that could slow the movement of AJ. AJ's movement is a big part of his game. Low calf kicks, not really open in the southpaw versus orthodox, but Pitbull usually throws it with the lead leg anyway. So if he can get the lead leg low calf kick to the outside of the calf of AJ McKee, then that could be a good weapon. Alright, so break down the grappling, where they're both very well versed as well. Both very good strikers, both very good grapplers. So AJ McKee, he has a nice reactive double. If he's not hitting that, he's gone for the driving double, and he's trying to drive you onto the fence. His non-reactive takedowns are generally shot from way too far out, and he doesn't set them up, he just relies on his athleticism really. So when he's not hitting reactive takedowns, I think he's telegraphing them quite a bit. And Pitbull, he does have a very nice guillotine trap, you know, jump guillotine quite a bit. He has a nice guillotine trap when the opponent shoots a double leg, so AJ does need to watch out for his neck there. On the mat, for AJ McKee, he's quite good off bottom. You know, he's locks the opponent up in certain ways. You know, wraps the legs up, grapevining them, or body triangles them, which, you know, isn't a great isn't a great sign when you're body triangling someone on bottom position. It just means you've fully accepted the position and you are happy to stay there, and you think your bottom game is better than the guy's top game, which is fine. Which is fine if you're versing like Derek Campos, who's not very good on top, or very good at anything really, but against Pitbull it could be a little dangerous to accept bottom position so easily as he has done in the past, because he is very active off bottom. He likes to be off bottom, he likes elbows off his back, arm bars off his back, but it's just not really the move when your competition level rises to this level where you're facing the champ and you're fighting for a belt and you're fighting in main events now. Being very active on bottom, you're going to get away with it against Campos and whoever else he's versed. I forgot. But yeah. But he's very dangerous in scrambles with submissions. He's very good at grabbing something in a scramble. He's got quite unorthodox grappling. Anacondas, darces when the opponent turtles, triangles and stuff when the opponent's trying to stick their neck out. He's quite good at getting a submission in a scramble. So how these guys win fights? So for AJ McKee, he's got power in the straight left, athleticism helps a lot. He's very athletic. For Pitbull, he's got power in both hands, good takedown defense, is durable, hasn't been finished in 36 fights, so that just speaks to the durability. How these guys lose fights, so for Pitbull, he's low volume, comes in with that counter heavy style. You're going to get the low volume there. He's not one to lead the dance very often. But yeah, he's, can be a little low volume. And for AJ McKee, he slows, he has poor pacing, goes too hard in the first round, and he has subpar takedown defense. So path to victory for these two. For AJ McKee, look to pace yourself. It's a 5-round fight. I think you should try and pace yourself. Don't get too overzealous if you do hurt him, because he will start to fire back. He will go out in his shield, so you just need to watch out for that. Try to stay long still. Just don't go too overzealous and start trading in the pocket when you do hurt him. Also, yeah, just try and stay long, set up your kicks, use that length that you have. For Pitbull, hold the center of the octagon or the cage or whatever Bellator use, a hexagon or whatever it is, and try and keep him near the fence. Try to make him move a lot on the fence. Try and stay inside the 2 octagon lines or 2 decagon lines or whatever the fuck Bellator use. I don't care. But just try and keep him near the fence. Also look for that outside lead leg calf kick, which we talked about before. And don't be afraid to mix in the grappling. Catch one of his side kicks and take him down. Catch one of his body kicks and take him down. Look for a guillotine if you stuff a McKee double leg. Or if he's just turtled up in a scramble. If you get in top position, look to posture up, throw heavy elbows, heavy punches. When he's trying to throw elbows or he's trying to look for, stuff off bottom. Yeah, look for heavy punches on top. And if you do stun him on the feet, prepare to stuff a takedown, because that's a tendency that he has. When you hit him good, he's going to shoot for a takedown. And it's most likely going to be a double leg, so just be prepared for that. So how I see this fight going. So intriguing fight, very intriguing fight. Probably the best fight that Bellator could put on at the moment with their current roster. It's a good fight, it's a very good fight. On the feet, both have very good footwork, but I do believe Pitbull is the much more controlled guy with his footwork. There's no wasted movement in Pitbull style, whereas McKee on the other hand, he's very he uses a lot of energy on the outside, let's just say that, and we'll get into that in a sec. McKee likes to throw a lot of naked flashy kicks at distance. I think Pitbull's going to be moving out of the way of the flashy kicks of McKee quite easily, because I do believe he has very good footwork and very good sliding back out of the way of strikes and re-entering range, as we talked about before. But yeah, I just can't see McKee landing on the feet too much, honestly. His path to victory on the feet is Pitbull just kind of not throwing anything, and he's just, dancing around the outside and just throwing a kick every now and then. Other than that, I can't really see him outstriking Pitbull. If AJ comes in like usual with throwing those spinning techniques and those non-setup kicks and those blitz 1-2s, I think Pitbull's going to be able to dodge the kicks. He's also going to be able to catch him as he's coming in with those blitz 1-2s. He's going to be able to drop levels for a double leg, when AJ comes blitzing in. On tape, McKee looks like the best fighter to ever exist. He's been running through opponents like it's nothing. But yeah, I don't know how good he is. Like, all of his opponents, they seem to just fall over. No one seems to pressure him. Barely anybody seems to try and hit him. Like, they all just stand in front of him and just absorb these flashy kicks that he's throwing. It's weird. It's weird, honestly. Like, maybe he is that good with the range control and can't be touched at all, but I don't know. Let's pull up his record. Like, it's strange. 17-0, obviously a very good record. Caldwell, took him down immediately and then got subbed by this weird-ass meme submission, like the shit you'd only try in the gym. First time I've ever seen it in an MMA fight. And it's a neck crank. You're not really supposed to tap to neck cranks in a fight. But yeah, Caldwell, he's a talented fighter, but he's a flake and he has terrible fight IQ. So, it is what it is. Campos just had McKee dead tired. McKee was dead tired after 1.5 rounds, locking his guard in bottom position, and Campos just didn't do anything from top position. So I don't know what Campos' deal is. I think he's cut from Bellator now. He was like 500 in Bellator, so yeah, it is what it is. But that was also another meme submission, like catching it like a triangle armbar in a submission, in a scramble. It's really low percentage. Curran just simply refused to throw anything. Like, he just wouldn't throw anything that whole fight. Georgi Karakakian, or whatever his name is, finished in 10 seconds. That's why I was talking about that power. Him and John MacArthur, like, I don't know. He seems to have a bit of power, but they just seem like really innocuous punches, and they just seem to die from it. So I don't know what's going on, but yeah, he seems to have a bit of power, I guess. But, striker technique isn't great, honestly. Like, striker technique isn't great. But he has a bit of raw power. So, yeah, it is what it is. Crawford fight. I can't remember it. The Lawrence and the Moore fight, that's the fights where they were more gritty. And it was good to see him fight through those, because those guys were putting the pressure on. But, those guys are more tough than skilled at fighting. You know what I mean? But they gave him some solid tests, and I was pretty impressed with how he handled that. But, those guys, they're tough, but they're not good at fighting. You know what I mean? Like I guess he's beaten the who's who of Bellator, but, like, literally who is the who's who in Bellator? Because most of those guys would just go 0-3 in the UFC, like, immediately get cut. Pitbull's one of the only fighters in Bellator where I could, like, confidently say are legit fighters, are legit prospects, not prospects, but like legit fighters, like all-round talents that could make it in the UFC. But yeah, I also see Pitbull being more effective with his grappling too. I think he's going to stuff the telegraph takedowns of McKee, make him bear his weight, or just catch him in that guillotine. For sure, if, McKee could get him down with one of those explosive takedowns, as he could basically get anyone down with those explosive techniques, but Pitbull rarely overextends himself for the reactive double, so it's not going to be too open. And I feel like if Pitbull does get taken down, he's going to be able to get back to his feet, because AJ tries to be very aggressive on top, and it's going to leave openings for Pitbull to get back to his feet. And if Pitbull gets on top, I see him putting damage on AJ, as AJ is on bottom trying to play the guard game from bottom position. All that offense leaves openings, like, because you're not thinking about defense, you're just thinking about, trying to lock the guard up and start throwing elbows and stuff like that. Like, yeah, he burns a ton of energy as well on bottom, like constantly attacking elbows and subs, which is what you have to do because you're in such a vulnerable position, and you've put yourself in that vulnerable position by pulling guard or just accepting bottom position in a scramble. Like, his defense right now for being in bottom position is just constant offense, and it's worked so far because he's faced bums, and they're just gonna get subbed from bottom, like, but it's not, he's not very defensive off his back. He's just all offense. Like, that's his defense. So yeah, it is what it is, but that slows him down. Like, he burns a ton of energy on bottom. He slows down late in fights. He has no experience in the championship rounds. Like, he has the least energy efficient style I've ever seen in any fighter. Like, even when he's tired as well, he'll just continue to go for, like, jumping kicks, spinning kicks, which fatigues him even more. Then he starts telegraphing his takedowns really badly. And, he's never faced any adversity. The most adversity he's faced in his career was the Moore fight, which I was talking about before. where Moore wouldn't stop coming forward, but Moore's not very good. Like, that's not much adversity. It's just a guy that won't stop coming forward. You've got to deal with those. I don't think he's ever been dropped. I don't think he's ever fought out of a tough submission attempt or dug deep in the later rounds. Like, I didn't see any of that on tape, and I watched his last, like, 10 fights probably. Like, who knows how he's going to react when he gets put in that position? Like, we don't know. He's just never showed it. I think the betting line is a little bit quantitatively based. You know, the McKee height and reach advantage plus the perfect record, 17-0. And I feel like that was the case with the Pitbull Archuleta line as well. That was based on numbers and records, and we know what happened there. Pitbull dominated every round. 50-45'd him. So, yeah. And that was similar to the closing line that we have here. You know, -125 to +105. It's basically a pick'em. I think the closing line for the Archuleta fight was around the same price. So, yeah. And yeah, I think McKee's kind of memed his way through his Bellator career so far, so a meme finish wouldn't shock me. Wouldn't shock me very much, but I don't think he's going to hit it on Pitbull, and I do have Pitbull here. So we'll have a look at the betting lines. Alright, so if you guys could like the video, you know, fair bit of work gets put into these, helps with the YouTube algorithm a lot, gets the channel pushed to more people could see it. It just helps me out heaps, so if you could like it, that'd be awesome. So prediction is Pitbull inside the distance. I'm literally 50-50 on whether it's going to be a submission or a KO. Like, McKee leaves openings for both. Pitbull, I think he's like generally split in his KO and subs in his career. So I don't really know, but you know, just I'll give a precise prediction. I guess I'll say submission. I think he walks into it. I think he runs into a guillotine at some point, but I think it's basically 50-50 whether he KOs him or subs him. So I think he wins around 70% of the time. What I'm looking to bet Pitbull at, like $1.60 or $1.59, or what's that, -160. I don't really know the money lines, but at this price, I'm for sure betting him. You know, doesn't really matter how I'd line it, because I think at the moment there's a good chunk of value on him. Inside the distance line, let's have a look. Where is it? What bloody hell is it? Oh, here we go. 250. Might as well just play the money line. Yeah, maybe a live bet on Pitbull, because I feel like AJ's success is pretty front loaded. If he probably has the first, you know, he probably wins the first round, maybe has a good second, he might be quite a big favorite on the live line. But I expect Pitbull's championship mentality and his better cardio to hold up and put it on him late, even if McKee does have a hot start. But I also wouldn't be surprised if Pitbull finishes him early. Yeah, I don't really like props for this one. I don't really like props. I just like the money line, honestly.